What's it been like the last few weeks, knowing the ultimate destination is not what you wanted, but is the focus and intensity still there despite ultimate dream not happening?
Our guys have been great. I think your passion and energy to playing the game of football kind of dictates how you handle things. And our guys love playing football, and they've had a really good couple weeks of prep, and I know they're excited to be here.
How do you prepare for a team where you might not necessarily know who's going to sign up and show up?
People always preach standard, and if a standard's a real thing, then you're always just trying to be the best version of yourself. And they have a lot of good players, and that's how they ended up in this position. And the guys they're going to play are there for a reason, and we're going to get the best shot.
How do you go about coaching to a standard?
Ultimately, you set expectations and then you hold people to them, right? If it's a real thing, right, then you're just trying to continually find the best version of yourself, both individually and collectively as a unit. And so you never reach your best version of yourself, because once you hit it, you're always trying to meet the next mark. And so that's how you go about, one, preaching to a standard and then trying to reach it.
We get to talk to you twice a year, basically, beginning and the end. What's the growth been for your defense? Where do you think you made the biggest strides over the year?
There's a lot of maturity. Maturing that's taken place. There's guys that maybe, whether they were older or younger, hadn't played a lot of football. There are obviously guys who have, and I just think their poise, their resiliency, their connection as a unit, those things have just grown leaps and bounds with each game he's on the play.
We talked to Coach Athens, and most coordinators talk about how many great players y'all have. He mentioned how well coached they are. To speak to the level of processing and football intellect that your guys have.
The game still comes down to, no matter what you do schematically, it comes down to blocking and defeating blockers, tackling and making people miss, winning one-on-one matchups in terms of coverage situations, and run game and pass game, blitz situations. So I think when you look at people and how they're coached, a lot of it is shown with their technique and fundamentals. I know that we place a lot of emphasis on that from the top, and that's how you get better. That's a reflection of coaching more than what you do with your 11 guys on paper.
Figure out what the deal with the first drive thing. I know SEC championship wasn't that, but that was a theme throughout the year, is the other team scoring on the first drive. You ever figure out what it was?
Every game was different. You can't. I think that we just had a stretch there where we didn't start well. You can't pinpoint one specific thing. We went back and looked at every game, and the reasons were different. Whether it was call structure, whether it was tackling, whether it was execution, every single one of those games was different. Uniquely, we're a really strong team on third down statistically, and on those drives, I think one thing you can pinpoint is we had opportunities to get off the field, and we did not when people scored on the first drive. So, hey, if you get off the field on third down, it's harder to score.
What was your message to the team in those situations? Did you have to just pull them aside?
I think if you have to give some special message in that moment, and you didn't go through your offseason the right way. Like we talk about our team DNA traits all the time, and we talk about being connected and having toughness and resiliency and composure. And if that's really a part of who you are, then in those moments, that's what you pull on. And the guys came over the sideline with great poise, and all they wanted to do was have the answers. And they took the answers they wanted the reasons, and then they wanted the answers. So we gave the reasons for why what happened. They digested the information, and then they went back out there and played football, which is all you can ask them.
How do you feel about Pop's decision? What have your interactions been with him around all that?
I love Pop. I wish him the best, and obviously I care about him. And anytime you care about somebody and you have a time that you're no longer with each other, then that's what's best for him in this case. I decided, and I wish him the best from that standpoint.
Coached a lot of great linebackers at the University of Georgia. The young linebackers, CJ Alexander. So what you see from them this year?
They're really mature. They approach their preparation the right way. They didn't start preparing differently when they got opportunities to play. They prepared that way, really starting in spring ball when they got here. Going back to bowl prep last year when they were able to come in early. So I think that's ultimately the mark of a young player that is able to help you. A lot of times is relative to their maturity level and how they prepare, and because nobody gets to Jordan without ability.
Another linebacker, Jalen, he had to step up and Pop went down a little bit. What would you see of his progression throughout the season?
Jalen goes about his business the right way. He works really hard. He's a unique individual because he's able to play both inside and out. He helped us a lot on third down this year. We also had packages where he played off the ball on first and second down. And he's just grown leaps and bounds. This isn't something you can see. He rushed the passer his whole life, and he decided to take on the challenge of playing more off the ball in college because he knew that would be beneficial to him in the long run. Because the more you can do, the more value it will be a career. He's helped us a ton on third down. He's going to help us more on first and second down moving forward, and I'm excited about where he's going.
You guys lost multiple outside linebackers to the portal. Just what's your confidence in that position going into 2024?
Yeah, I really like the guys that we have, and I think that there's a lot of ability in that room. Guys that are going to step up when there's opportunity to step up. The guys who take advantage of it. They'll be the ones that are out there, of course, moving forward. We have guys that have played for us this year that we believe in. That's why they've been out there in the forms and facets they have.
We could see Malachi just during the games. Obviously, he's a special talent. What makes Malachi the best in business?
He's a really good person. He prepares the right way. From the moment he's been here, we talked about the maturity level of linebackers. He had a maturity level to himself as a defensive player and as a human being from the moment he got here. He's incredibly humble. And when you have humility and you're grateful for the opportunity, you constantly approach each day with the right level of enthusiasm. I think that's why he's gotten to the point that he has. That's why he's going to continue to improve because he doesn't have an ego. He just wants to do what's best for his team and his teammates, and that's what he's done.
Still a punch in the gut, not in that Final Four, because I know pretty much in your heart of hearts you think you're the best 14 in the country.
Playing in the Orange Bowl, we have an opportunity to play with our opponent and play to win the games. Winning matters. We have a chance to go win a game, play a game against a great opponent, and our guys are excited. We're excited as coaches.
The pass pressure in general this year, how did it do?
Well, I would say this. We always want more production statistically. As coaches, you want to sit there and say, hey, we're going to judge it based on how well did they throw the ball. And even if we didn't sack the quarterback, if they didn't throw the ball effectively, then we did our job. But we're all guilty of, and one of the most fun things to do in football is, as a coach, as a player, is to sack the quarterback. As a coach, is to see the quarterback get sacked. Because if he's on the ground, he can't complete a pass 100% of the time, as long as the ball's still in his hand. Now, we've been an effective pass defense, and on third down, when they pass the ball the most, we've been really effective. And so we'd love to sack the quarterback more, but at the same time, we've been effective defending the pass, and we can be even more effective if we sack the quarterback more and create more havoc plays from that standpoint.
How do you envision? Last question. Coach Hartley talked a little while ago about Lawson Lucky and how he came in last year and had really good ball practice. Kind of got off to a really good start. Have you seen that out of any of you guys, defensive guys, early, this year, with the numbers that you guys have been able to add via early enrolling?
When you go and guys come in for these bowl practices, I mean, they're completely swimming from the standpoint of, they don't know our defenses, and we're not expecting them to get ready to play in this game. But so when you do scout team work, they're off a card, and then when you're doing good on good scenarios where they get a chance to go in, a lot of times you have a coach chasing them around to tell them their job. Hey, line up over here, or hey, you're in press man. So when you evaluate people from the standpoint of guys standing out in these practices, a lot of it is just based on who they are as a person and their effort. I've really been pleased with everybody we brought in. I know looking for specific guys, but the class we have is really good people, and they're working really hard. There hasn't been a guy that walked in and you're like, oh, dang, this isn't the kid we thought he was. They're the kids that we think they are. They can run, and that's a premium place in recruiting across all positions. And I've been really pleased with just how they've gone about their business. And some of them got here earlier than later, so they've been able to be in full pads longer. Some of them just got here the other day, and so they're going through acclimation. And so some of them we can't really get a full evaluation on too until they have their pads on.
Do you envision a changing role for Michael Williams next season?
Michael's an edge player. I mentioned this earlier, and I think Mark, you weren't there at the time, but he's always cross-trained at other positions, and so sometimes when you say changing role, the things that you've cross-trained in terms of being able to play DN and be a bigger outside linebacker, you decide that based on who's your best level on the field and what's your opponent doing. So I know this, we'd like to play him on the edge more, whether that's a DN, Jack, anything from that standpoint. He's one of our best players, and we want to make sure that he's doing what he does best more often.
How would you assess Jalen? I know you talked earlier about him being a hybrid. How would you assess how he has grown as an inside linebacker given his reps at that position?
There's these stages you go through when you've never keyed the run from behind the ball before, and it starts with being able to see things properly, and then after it gets to seeing things properly, then it goes to navigating the traffic that happens from playing behind the ball. I think he's seeing things really well right now. I think he's continuing to get better at navigating the blocks and the traffic from that standpoint. He's grown leaps and bounds there, and then you're involved in a lot more coverage scenarios as an off-the-ball backer and different pattern match. Whereas when you're playing on the edge, you're kind of, I'm a flat player or a man on somebody, or I could have a hook. And there's a lot more pattern match in terms of passing off routes between the safeties and the nickels and the other backers. And he's gotten a lot better in all those areas. So it's just about how fast. People always talk about the game slowing down. The game's starting to slow down for him. Where before, he's a really sharp kid. He could understand where he's supposed to be and what he's supposed to do, but then it has to happen really quickly for him. And it's starting, and then it has to happen really quickly for him mentally, which means it's slowing down for him, where for a little while, it was happening fast. And I've started to see that, especially in the last couple of weeks, things slowing down for him. But we want to play the guy on the edge a lot too, because that's what he does best. And there's things that we're going to do with him and that we've done with him this year that maybe the other guys in the room don't do. And so I think he's just a unique individual, and we'll find ways to use him more moving forward.
I know run defense was mainly like QB room this year against you, while you're always ranked with low, but what needed to be better